Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights, here for another short weekend episode. Thanks sponsors, Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication, ComC.com, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Huggins & Scott Auctions, Upper Deck, Panini, and Topps. This is a mailbag episode. I've gotten some questions from listeners. 6 questions. Number 1, do you think Beckett's increasing the grading prices will allow them to catch up on being not as far behind on their grading turnaround times? Especially people seem to be concerned with the base cards. The problem is one of the differentiators between BGS and PSA is that PSA charges more according to the value of the particular card. Now that actually does incent sending cheaper cards because it costs less to grade. Beckett grading, on the other hand, and this was a strategy from the beginning, is really upcharging only for turnaround time. So the problem with that is that with both those services, if you want to send in a base card and pay the price, you can. Increasing prices in many industries will lower the demand, but it doesn't seem to in the hobby because the prices graded cards are moving even faster than the grading price increases. Of course, any capitalist is going to say, why do I want to decrease the backlog? I want to increase the throughput. I don't want cards sitting around, but I don't want to decrease the submissions. Raising prices, the main thing I'm hoping is that it allows them to be more aggressively moving to add technology, if I were in charge, and add some quality grading help to the team. It's an outstanding team already. A little bit more help would help them to cut into the backlog. Number 2, if my old company asked me to come back to take on a senior role, would I consider it? I think I've answered this. No, I actually would not consider it, but I'm always eager to help. After all, it's a brand that has my name on it. I want it to do well, but I'm already an informal advisor, happy to help my old teammates and friends in the hobby, regardless of whether they're at Beckett Media or not. As they deal with issues, if they ask me my opinion or advice, I'm happy to give it. And that's the only senior role I really would have. My day in the sun has happened. Excited about how the hobby is growing. And if I can be of assistance in making the hobby grow, especially my own company, that'd be great. Number 3, if I could have any card in the world, I don't look at it that way. I already have a bunch of cards. I think one of the things, rather than answer that question, I think people talk about buy, sell, or trade, when in reality, if I don't have it, it's do I want to buy it? And if I do have it, it's do I want to sell it or trade it or keep it? So if I had any card in the world, once I have it, then I've got to decide, do I want to hold it or do I want to sell it? I have a lot of cards. I'm really eager to have cards that I can show when people come over, but that doesn't mean the most expensive. In many cases, it means something really interesting and obscure. Number 4, favorite cards in my collection. I don't really do it that way. I have 1,000 cards on my wall of fame. In fact, more than 1,000. And I've got another BGS submission coming back to where I will take out some and add some. And I'm looking into ways that I can bring my listeners and actually viewers, that would have to be a video type episode. So I'm thinking about how I could present that to some of you faithful listeners that could see some of the cards that are candidates for being on the wall and maybe give me your opinions on what should make the grade. Number 5, what's my single best buy advice on a single card? Well, I don't usually do that, but I'm just going to give one. And again, it's for right now with the prices that are right now, given the situation. It's 51 Bowman Willie Mays. I think Willie Mays, I'm not wishing him bad health, but he's an older gentleman now, just an iconic star. If you look back historically, you can do all the charts and ratios and graphs. He's always been linked with Mickey Mantle. So a 51 Bowman Mays, even 51 Bowman Mantle probably has some room. 52 Topps Mantle and Mays have gone up, but the Bowman are actually the rookie cards. Not saying it's a sure thing. I'm saying comparatively in this industry, if I were an investor type guy, I think that's the one card I'd look at. And lastly, there's a lot of other podcasts that want to give investment strategies. I have respect for John Newman at Sports Card Nation. He had an episode about tuning out the negativity in the hobby. I want to amend that just a little bit because he's right. But I think the best strategy can be to also tune out the positivity. If I were you, I wouldn't want to be buying what's been hyped. If I was going to buy something that's been hyped, I'd want to get it at the very beginning of the hype, not well down the road where it's been hyped up. You could be betting on buying what's hot and hoping it gets hotter. But to me, I'm more of a value guy. And I just think if it hasn't been hyped yet, that's when I'd want to jump in. So just being a little bit facetious, you tune out the extreme negativity, but tune out the extreme positively. Nothing increases forever. There are no sure things. When somebody says, look how many fans there are of Michael or LeBron or Luka, it has to be factored into the price. It's only a good deal at a certain price. If prices keep doubling, at some point it becomes not a good deal. That may be subject to another episode of what's overpriced. But relatively speaking, when you look at what's a good deal, it has to consider the price. And don't just make the price comparison that you are being steered into, whether it's positively or negatively. Look at the ratios, not up market, but also down market. And then again, if you're going to follow the hype, be pretty close to the front of that parade, because if you're at the end of the parade, that is not a position I'd want to be in. So otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will see you again on Monday with another longer episode. So thanks and happy collecting.